I didn't know, Forgotten. I'm so sorry. That's probably why you were fighting me. Just, um, what's it called? I, I mean, like, you were trying to talk to me, and I was, over talking because other people were talking in my ear, and I was just so excited about the game and all that kind of stuff. Alright, y'all have waited long enough. Let's do this. Hello! What's going on? How you guys doing? Shay, what's up? Lit. 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 By the way, everyone, if you have Amazon Prime, I want you to go to your favorite streamer and sub to them. Like, just fucking sub to them. It's free because you're paying for Amazon. Like, if you have Amazon Prime, go to your favorite streamer. Link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, and you can sub to them for free for a month. Then the next month rolls around. Let's say, you know what? You didn't like your previous sub dude anyways. Then you go and you sub to another person. It's just like that. It's awesome. I personally did Professor Broman because, well, I kind of wanted to see him cry on stream. Because there's people filing after one after another. Literally, the amount of subs that he has like 4,000. Still going right now. He can literally pay for his house. It's insane. I am so excited for him. I can't wait till he shows every single person's name on the walls of his house, because he said that he was going to paint his house with the sub names. Very true. I would sub to Captain Blondebeard too. But like, where the hell is he? Miss him. And thank you, Wire. I'm better on stream about selling stuff than I am in person. I only have camera personality on the camera, and then I'm pretty legit in person. Anyways, y'all waited again long enough. Let's start this reading of this crazy wild man. Alright. So, again, we are reading this book. And we're on chapter 13. They're like really small chapters. And they're kind of like, I don't know. They have a lot of words that I can't read. And if it goes well... Really? Is he gonna go on, like, Beam or something? Oh my god! Why? I actually enjoyed him! Like, he captivated... Cap. His entire crowd. Like, if he continued... I'm pretty sure he would have, like, boosted his numbers. It's ridiculous. Anyways, we're on chapter 13 called Torture. Perfect, right? Thurgir picked out 40 men to go with them, and Sam had another 40, all of them well equipped with weapons and horses. They went off following the same route as before and just reached jail at dawn. on the day the court of confiscation was due to take place. I know, I even have his cell phone number and I can't get a hold of him. I only like texted him once and then like my phone died and or reset itself, factory reset, and surprisingly Google like captured all the numbers that I had saved in there. Then they crossed the river by bridge. Thorgir asked how they could best take Hrafnkel by surprise, and Sam knew the answer to that. He turned sharply away from the path, up the mountainside, then along the ridge of the Hrafnkelsdale and Juxdale until they reached the mountain above the farm in Abadal. There were grassy hollows stretching up to more there, and the hillside sloped steeply down to the farm in the valley below. Sam dismounted and said, "If you take my advice, we'll get off here. We'll leave the horses behind and take 20 men to watch them, and the remaining 60 will make a rush down to the farm. The slope's so steep, we'll be quicker without the horses." Sexy phone calls. I can believe that. My dad hates texting and hates being on the phone. Like, he won't even call me, but he'd rather do face-to-face talking because he's on his phone all day for his job. I don't expect many people at Abadal will be up at this hour. They did as Sam suggested. This place has been known as Ross ever since. They set off running and raced down so fast they reached the farmstead just after rising time, but the people hadn't gotten up yet. They rammed the door with a log and charged into the house. Hrafnkel was still in bed. They seized him and all the other able-bodied men and took them outside. The women and children were herded into one room. In the home middle where there stood a storehouse, and between it, the wall of the farmhouse, there was a beam for dry clothes. They led Hrafnkel up to the beam. He kept pleading for himself and his men, and when he realized that all his efforts were in vain, he asked the lives of his men to be spared. "They've done you no harm," he said. "You can kill me without any discredit to yourselves. I'm not going to plead for my life, but I ask you not to torture me, for that would bring you no credit." Thorkel said, "We've heard about your little mercy you've shown for your own opponents, and it's only fair you should be made to feel the pain now." He would shoot up the butt because I was his favorite. That's not true. Wait. Then they got a hold of Finkel and his men, tied their hands behind their backs after they broke open the storehouse and took some ropes down off the pegs. They drew their knives, cut through the prisoners. Heels behind the tendons, pulled the rope through the holes, strung the 8 men together, and hung them from the clothes. "Decide! You're supposed to... Yeah. You're supposed to watch." "You're getting just what you deserve," Hrafnkel said Thorgir. "You must have thought it very unlikely you'd ever be so humiliated by anyone as you are now. Which do you prefer, Thorkel? Stay here and keep an eye?" Hey, we were all his favorite. Indeed! I'm pretty sure he named every single hair after the person that he favorited most. And then when he shaved it all... Oh my god! Light bulb. Totally thought of this a long time ago. I thought to myself, I said, you know what? He shaved his beard. What if he's not streaming until the beard is grown fully? Food for thought. Rich King, what's up? Stay here and keep an eye on Rafinkel and his men, or to go with Sam in arrow shot from the farmstead and hold the court of confiscation on a stony mound away from the fields and meadows. Had to be done with sun due south. I'll stay here with Rafinkel and Thorkel. It seems to me the easier job of the two. You say, here, get up here. Been back by June. I wish that would be the truth. Yeah, me too. Nice muscle. Bro, I'm not even showing my muscles. Dice! Get up here! Get up here right now. I'm telling you. Good girl. They brought your bone with you. Like March? Yeah, I think he did. Whoa. All up in my face. Rich King, thank you for the follow and welcome to the wolf pack. I appreciate it. All up in my face. Hey, how you doing? No, actually it's not. I bought it. With a little bit of help from Blind Gamer DK. He actually donated the money through donations, which I am grateful for, to buy me my chair. Nice. I'll stay here with Rafinkel. It seems to me the easier job of the two. Thorngir and Sam went off and held the court of confiscation. Afterwards, they came back to the farmhouse, took Rafinkel and his men down and laid them on the ground. Their eyes were all bloodshot. Thorngir said to Sam that he could do what he'd like to Rafinkel. I think he's manageable now, he added. It's easy to see Rafinkel never expected to find himself in your hands. I'm giving Rafinkel a choice. Two things, Sam. One, that he'll be taken to a place I'll choose and put to death there. But since he has so many dependents in his care, I'm willing to give him the chance of looking after them. If he wants me to spare his life, he's to leave Abadol and his entire household and take away with him only such goods as I let him. Which will be very little indeed. I'll take away your authority and estate, Rafinkel. You and your heirs are never claimed to these back. Hey, so Epson, I don't appreciate that talk. You can be timed out, bud. I won't be so forgiving next time. If you're willing to accept these terms, shake hands on them now. Oh my god, are you serious? Did he, like, delete his channel? Most people would prefer a quick death to such a humiliation, said Rafinkel. But I'll do as many others have done and choose life as long as I have the chance. I'm doing this mostly for the sake of my sons, but they'll have little hope of success if I die now. When Rafinkel had agreed to Sam's terms, he was set free, and Sam doled out to him what he thought fit, which is very little indeed. On that very day, Rafinkel moved out of Abadol with his entire family and few belongings he was allowed to take. Thorkel said to Sam, I can't understand why you're doing this. You have good reason to regret you've spared Rafinkel's life. Sam said that was the way it was going to be. Rafinkel traveled east across Floatsdale Moor and over to the far side of Floatsdale, east of Lagerwater. There was a little farm called Lokahilla at the head of the lake, and he bought it on credit. As all he had were some provisions for... Evanson, thank you for the follow! Welcome to the Wolf Pack, I appreciate it! It's too bad you were timed out. Sorry. There was a great deal of talk about this, how his arrogance had been deflated, and many people called to mind the old saying that short is the life of the proud. The land of Rafinkel bought was extensive and heavily wooded, but the farm buildings were poor. His beard was already starting to grow back in May, so he shaved around the second week of April. Hey, Blind, I don't know if you're paying attention or Shay. But, do me a favor. By the way, Witch Gang, we don't self-promote here. Unless it's the end of the stream and you're a subscriber, so... The land of Rafinkelbot was extensive and heavily wooded, but the farm buildings were poor, which was the reason he could buy it at such a low price, but Rafinkel spared no expense. He fell a lot of timber. But there was plenty of it, and built a fine house. The place has been known as Rafinkelstead ever since, and is still considered a good farm. Rafinkel lived the first year there in great hardship, but he improved his resources by sending his men fishing. Alright, dude, I gave you 3 chances. Sorry, you're banned. But he improved his resources by sending his men fishing. Rafinkel himself worked very hard while he was building the house. He raised every calf and every kid the first year. And he was so successful with his livestock that hardly any of his beasts failed. In fact, they were so productive, they gave him almost double the normal yield. That summer, Lager water was teeming with trout, which proved very profitable for the farmers in this district, and continued for many good years. Norgit, I'm reading, Rafinkel Saga and the Other Stories by the Penguin Classics. I know, Yellow. Some people are just rude like that. This has gone from reading night to what happened to cap night? Sort of. Just a little bit. So banning people banning people that say whatever they feel like, that I don't really appreciate. But you know, if you want to stay in here and watch me read the rest of this book, I mean, by all means. Not my time. I appreciate you being here, though. It's okay, Blind. I took care of him. A little after Sam had taken over the farm at Aberdeen from Rafinkel, he held a magnificent feast to which he invited all the farmers who had been Rafinkel's supporters and offered to be their chieftain in this place. You really... Aw! Thank you, Yolo. They accepted this, but some of them had misgivings about it. The Starsons advised him to be kind, generous, and helpful to his men, to support them in anything they needed. Hot a coffee. Is it really that late for you guys? I'm sorry. Oh no. The Starsons advised him to be kind, generous, and helpful to his men, and support them in any way they needed. They would be worthless men if they failed to give you the loyal support then. Whenever you needed it, we're giving you this advice because we want you to succeed in everything. And we think you're really brave, a very brave man. Be careful now and stay your guard. One must always watch for the wicked. Later that day, Starsons had Freyafax and his herds sent for and said they wanted to see these animals about which there had been so much talk, as they were supposedly to be exceptionally fine horses. The horses were brought in, and brothers looked them over. I think these mares would be, you know, some kind of help on the farm, said Thorgir. And it's my advice that they should be put to some useful work until they're too old to live. But the stallion doesn't seem better than any of the other horses. Rather worse, in fact, since he's been the cause of so much trouble. I don't want any more killings to be caused by him than have taken place already, and it's only proper that his present owner should have him. 7. Gotcha. They led the stallion across the meadow, and then down along the river below the farmstead. Below the farmstead there are high cliffs and a waterfall with a deep pool underneath. They led the stallion onto the bluff. Then the Starsons pulled a bag over Greyback's head, tied long heavy poles to his flanks, fastened a stone to his neck, and with the poles they pushed the horse over the cliff, so that the horse perished, and the bluff has been known as Greyback's a Hammer ever since. Down there stood Rafinkel's temple. Thorgir decided to burn it. He had all the gods stripped, set to fire to the temple, and burnt everything to ashes. Then they went back to the farm. The guests got ready to leave, and Sam chose fine gifts for everyone. The brothers also made arrangements for the departure, and Sam gave them splendid gifts. They exchanged firm vows of friendship and parted on the affectionate terms. The brothers rowed to the shortest way of the West Fjords and came back to the Torskafjord, with their reputation greatly enhanced. Sam placed Thorbjorn and Leikskaller and told him to farm there. Sam's wife joined him at Abaddon, and he lived there for some time. Chapter 16. Rafinkel's New Chieftains. East in Fjoldstale, Rafinkel heard what Starsons had done, in killing his Freybacks and the burning of the god and the temple in Rinklesdale. Then Rafinkel said, "I think it's a vain thing to believe in the gods." He declared he wouldn't worship them any longer, and kept his vow, for he never had any sacrifices again. Rafinkel lived at Rafinkelstead and got very rich. He soon gained a position of power in the district, and everyone was eager to stand or sit, just as Rafinkel wished. In those days, there were regular sailings from Norway to Iceland, and most of the district was settled in Rafinkel's time. No one was allowed to live there without Rafinkel's leave, and every farmer had to promise him his support. In return, Rafinkel gave them his protection. He gained authority over all the districts east of Lagerwater, so his new chieftaincy soon became much larger in area, contained a greater number of people than the one he had controlled before, for it reached as far north as Selwater into Skersdale, covering the entire Lagerwater region. Rafinkel was a changed man now, and much better liked than he used to be. He could still be as helpful and generous as before, but he'd become gentler and quieter in every way. Sam and Rafinkel often met at assemblies, but they never spoke about their dealings. Sam enjoyed his high position for 6 years. He was well liked by his supporters, for he didn't forget the advice the brothers had given him and was quiet and gentle and ready to solve everyone's problems. One summer, a ship put in Greyfjords. Its captain was Envid Bjarnson. He had been abroad for several years and had greatly improved himself, and now he was a highly successful man. He was soon told what happened. He didn't say much about it, being a man who never meddled in other people's affairs. When Sam heard of his brother's arrival, he rowed to the ship, and there was a happy reunion between them. Sam invited Eviand to come west and stay with him, and he accepted readily, but asked Sam first to ride home and send him horses for the luggage. Then Evian had his ship hauled ashore and... What? Nice. What type of weather is over in Hawaii right now? Then Evian had his ship hauled ashore and sold the cargo. While Sam did as his brother suggested, went home and had some horses brought in and sent servants with them to fetch Evian. When Evian had seen his cargo, he loaded the packed horses and ready to ride west to Rafinklesdale, traveling up along Rage Fjords. There were 5 men riding together. The 6th was Evian's servant boy, who was an Icelander and closely related to Evian and Sam. Evian had saved his boy from utter poverty before he left Iceland, had taken him abroad and treated him just like himself. The noble jester brought Evian a great deal of credit, and everyone agreed that there were a few men like him. Oof, cold and rainy? That's awful. Sorry. They rode up to Thordale Moor and drove 16 pack horses before them. 2 of the men were Sam's servants, and remaining 4 were travelers. These wore colored clothing and carried bright shields. They rode across Druidale and then over the ridge to Fjordsdale, through Belungalavir, and down to Gisserer, which lies to the east of Lake between Halormsted and Rafinklested. Then they continued the ride up along Lagerwater. Is it really cheap in Ohio? Like, what's the apartment rate? If it's like under $400, or maybe under 5, I'll be okay with that. Obvious! Hi! Round the head of the lake, crossed Jokel's River at Scalaford. It was then halfway between rising time and mid-morning. Down by the lake, a servant was washing her clothes, and then, when she saw riders, she bundled together the linen and ran up to the farm. She threw the laundry down beside the log pile outside the door and burst into the room. Rafinkel had not yet given up, or got up, and some of his most trusted men were resting in the hall, but all the farm hands had gone to work. This was haymaking season. The woman started talking as soon as she came in. The old saying is true enough. The older a man, the feebler. The honor a man's given early in life isn't worth much if he has given it all up in disgrace, and hasn't the courage to fight for his rights ever again. It is a particular thing, indeed, to happen to those who were once thought brave. As for those who grew up with their father and who seemed utterly worthless compared to yourself, it's a different story, for as soon as they reached the manhood, they went abroad, traveling from country to country, and when they came back, they're thought very highly of. Even above the chieftains, Evian Bjarnason was just crossing the river at Skalafjord carrying a bright shield that shone in the sun. He's a worthy target for revenge, an outstanding man like him. This woman just kept on gabbling. Rafinkel got to his feet and spoke to her. There's probably a lot of truth in what you're saying, but your motives hardly do you credit. You deserve some extra trouble. Hurry over to Vitavillers and ask sons of Halstein, Stigvat, and Snorri to come here as quickly as they can with all their able-bodied men. Rafinkel sent another woman out to Hrolstad for Thord and Halli, the sons of Hrolf, and other able-bodied men were there, all brave and capable. She never sits in her camp, ever. Oh, that's nice. It's just so smuggy up there, like, that's the only reason why I think that it's... They armed themselves resolutely and rode across the river where the others had forded before. 18. The Traveler's Death. When Rafinkel was riding across the valley, Evian and his men had already reached the moor, and they continued their ride till they came out west, in the middle of the moor, to a place called Bersagador. There's a swamp there, and one has to ride through watery slush, and the mud reaching up to the horse's knee or mid-leg, sometimes even up to its belly. but underneath the mud and rock is very firm, so no risk of sinking any deeper. West of this bog, the territory is very stony, and everyone and his men rode on to it. When they came to the rocky ground, the boy looked back and said, "Everyone, there are some men riding after us, 18 or 20 of them. One of the riders is tall, man in blue, and he seems to be very like Rafinkle, though I have not set eyes on him for quite a long time." "What's that got to do with us?" said everyone. "As far as I know, I have nothing to fear from Rafinkle's movements, for I've never done any harm to him. He must be on his way to the valley to see his friends there." "I have a feeling it's you he wants to see," said the boy. "I'm not sure there's been any clash between him and my brother since they made their agreement," says everyone. The boy said, "I'd like you to ride ahead west to the valley. Then you'll be safe. I know Rafinkle's temper well enough to be certain we've nothing to fear from him should he fail to get you. All's well as long as you keep out of danger, for there's nothing to tempt them then. Whatever happens will come to no harm." Everyone said he wasn't going to ride away. "I'm not even sure who those men are, and I'd be a laughingstock of everyone if I ran off without further proof." They rode on west across the rocky ground, and then they came to another swamp, which is called Oxymire. It's very grassy, and has a good many soft patches, which make it almost impossible. This bog is about as wide as the previous one, but much softer. The travelers have to dismount. That is why old Halfred used to take the upper path, even though it was longer, and in his opinion, these two swamps were almost total barriers. Everyone and his men rode west into the swamp, and they were so often bogged down that they were very much delayed. The pursuers, with no pack horses to slow them down, were traveling much faster. When Rafinkle and his men rode along into the bog, the others were just very clear of it. Everyone and his men could now clearly recognize Rafinkle and his two sons among the troopers, and many other besides. Everyone's companion urged him to ride away. "All the obstacles are behind us now, and it's easy to ride west from more. You can reach Abaddon while they're tracking the swamp, and once you're there, you're safe." Everyone said, "I'm not going to run away from someone I never wronged." They rode west from the swamp and up the ridge. West of the ridge, there is a fine grassy valley, and west of the valley another ridge, and west of the second ridge lies Rafinklesdale. They rode up the easternmost ridge. That makes sense. There are some humps on the ridge, and on the slope stands a steep knoll with lime grass on top, but eroded by the wind on all sides. This is a fine land for grazing, but near it lies a bog. Everyone rode away from the path and into the hollow east lime knoll. He dismounted and told his companions to let their horses graze for a while. "Now we'll soon find out what our lot is to be," he said, "and whether these men will turn on us or go about their business." Went into the valley. By this time, Rafinkle and his men had almost caught up with them. Everyone hobbled his horse, went up on the knoll. What the fuck? I thought my whole stream went down. I was like, no! Right in the middle of it. Alright. Rafinkle and his men almost caught up with them. Everyone hobbled his horse and went up on the knoll to his companions. Then they tore up some stones from the side of the knoll. Rafinkle turned from the path and south to the knoll without a single word to everyone. He attacked them once. Everyone defended himself with courage and determination. Everyone's servant thought he wasn't strong enough to fight, so he took his horse, rode west across the ridge over to Abaddon, and told Sam what was happening. Sam wasted no time and sent for help to the neighboring farms. He got 20 men and all of them well equipped. And with this, he rode east to the moor where the encounter had taken place. When he arrived at the scene, it was all over. Rafinkle was riding east across the moor, having completed his mission, and everyone and all his men lay there dead. The first thing Sam did was see whether there was any sign of life from his brother, but the killers had done their work thoroughly. They were all dead. 12 of Garfinkel's men were dead too, but 6 of them had gotten away. Sam wasted no time there, but told his men to ride after them at once. They have tired horses, but ours are all fresh, and maybe we'll just catch up to them before they get away from the moor. By this time, Garfinkel had already cleared Oxmire, and the chase was on. When Sam and his men had passed through the bog and come to the rocky part, Garfinkel had just crossed it, so this was his only obstacle for them. While Sam was tackling the rocks, Garfinkel widened the distance. Sam and his men rode on till they reached the edge of the moor and saw Garfinkel far down the hillside. Oh yeah, New York's like that too. But I heard Ohio was like, can't even see cars type snow. Blind, thank you for the retweet. I appreciate it. And my phone died. Garfinkel had just crossed it, so it was the only obstacle between them. While Sam was tackling the rocks, Garfinkel widened the distance between them, but Sam and his men rode on till they reached the edge of the moor and saw Garfinkel far away down the hillside. Sam realized that Garfinkel would get away down to the farms. Sam told his men not to ride any farther. We must turn back because Garfinkel will find it easy to gather forces and then we'd be completely in his power. So Sam turned back and came to the place where everyone lay dead. He set to work and raised a burial mound over him and his dead companions. The places there are called Everyone de Forte, Everyone Darfel, and Everyone Daradale. Chapter 19, Sam's Humiliation. Sam told his men to round up everyone's horses, and then they loaded the pack horses and drove them down to Abaddon. As soon as he got back home, Sam sent for forces throughout Garfinkel's Shh. Pesky ads. Asking all his supporters to be there early in the morning, for he intended to ride east and cross the moor. We'll see how our trip goes, he said. When Sam went to bed that evening, a number of men had already gathered at Abaddon. Garfinkel rode back to home to Garfinkel's stead that evening and told the news. After he had had a meal, he gathered forces and got together 70 men. With this force, he rode west across the moor, came unexpectedly to Abaddon, caught Sam in bed, and gave him a choice of 2 alternatives. Now, Sam, you find yourself in a position which can't have seemed likely to you some time ago, said Garfinkel. Your life is in my hands. I'll just be as generous as you were to me, and give you the same choice, to live or to be killed. If you choose to live, the terms will be solely up to me. Sam said he preferred to live, though either alternative would be harsh. Yeah, I dealt with that for like 3 years up in Fort Drum. Awful. Garfinkel told him that he'd be certain of that. For I owe you nothing less. I have treated you much better if you deserve it. You're going to leave Abaddon and move down to Lake Scholar and settle there on your farm. You can take away with you all the goods everyone brought with him, but you'll not be allowed to take anything else away from here, unless people are willing to testify you brought it with you to Abaddon. Such belongings you may carry off with you. I'll resume my authority and chieftaincy over this district and take over the estate with all the other possessions that used to be mine. I can see that there's been a vast increase in my wealth, but you won't benefit from it, and I'll be taking it all for myself. You'll get no compensation from your brother Evanwind, because your cruel revenge you took for the killing of your other kinsman. And you've had more than enough compensation for your cousin Aenar, while you've been enjoying my power and wealth all this time. I don't believe the killing of everyone was any worse than the torture I was made to suffer, nor was the death of his companions any worse than maiming of my men. You had me outlawed from my own district, but I allow you to live at Lake Scholar as long as you don't let your pride be your downfall. You'll be my subordinate for the rest of our lives, and you can be sure your position will be lower than it's ever been. Then Sam moved over to Lake Scholar with his family and settled down on his farm. Jesus. I think I would have, like, told him, no, I got a knife in my bed, and I'm just gonna, like, stab you 37 times in the chest with it. This is my land. I earned it fair and square. So, leave. Then he'd just be like a dead body with a pooling of blood. Who would clean that up? They didn't have, like, bleach back then. Oh, yeah. Unless they live, like, 3 or 4 months in it. Like I have. I've lived 3 years in New York. Come back for Texas since, like, July, and I'm already used to the heat. And 60 degrees is cold to me. And I'm just sitting here and I'm like, thanks, skin! Oh, that's cool. Chapter 20, Appeal for Help. Garfinkel took over the farm at Abaddon and brought his household there. It was a prosperous and well-stocked farm. He left his son, Thorweir, in charge at Garfinkel's stead. With a housekeeper to help him, Garfinkel now held authority over many districts. His son Adjorn came to Abaddon to stay with his father since he was younger. Sam stayed that winter with Lake Scholar. He was a taciturn and kept very much to himself, and it was obvious to everyone that he was unhappy with the ways things were going. In the late winter, when the days grew longer, Sam had his horses shod and hired a groom to accompany him on the journey. They had 3 horses, one of them carrying Sam's clothes. They rode over the bridge, and then across Muradale Moor and forded Jokul's River up into the mountains. Then they rode to Mywater, and from there across Fields Moor and Water Pass. They kept going, without a halt, until they reached Thorka's Fjord. Sam was given a good welcome there. Thorkel had just arrived from abroad, where he had been there for 4 years. Sam stayed out there for a week, enjoying the rest, and told the brothers about his dealings with Garfinkel and asked for the help and support as before. On this occasion, it was Thorkir who spoke on behalf of his brothers. He said they were very unlike Sam, and he has lived too far away from them. Your home is in the east, but ours is here in the west. We thought we'd made your position safe before we left, so it should have been easy for you to maintain it. However, it's turned out exactly as I expected when you spared Garfinkel's life. I thought you'd live to regret his bitterly. We urged you to have Garfinkel killed. That seemed to be a sensible thing to do. But you insisted on having it your way. Now it's clear how much shrewder Garfinkel is than you, for he left you in peace until he could first get rid of the man he knew to be wiser than you. No wish to have anything more to do with your bad luck. We are not so eager to clash with Garfinkel again, and that we want to risk our position for the second time. Oh wow, yeah, New York's winter lasts all the way till April. Like, there's still snow on the ground. But the main reason for our refusal is that you live so far away, and we think it's rather too much to travel all the way to East Fjords. We'd like to invite you and your family to come here and put yourselves under our care. You'll find it less uncomfortable than living so close to Garfinkel. Sam said he couldn't be bothered to move his house from the East Fjords. The only way they could give was to do as he asked. The only hope they could give was do as he asked. Then he told them that he wanted to make ready for the ride back home, and asked them to exchange horses with him, which they did willingly. The brothers wanted to give Sam fine gifts, but he wouldn't accept them, and said they were small-minded men. Then he set out for their homes and parted on bad terms. Sam settled down on his farm and lived there till old age without ever, for the rest of his life, being able to avenge himself on Raffinkel. Raffinkel remained on his farm, and for some years he enjoyed his prestige. He didn't live till a great age and died in his bed. His burial mound stands in Raffinkelsdale, north of Abadol. His sons inherited his authority and chieftaincy. They met to divide the property between them, but agreed to own the chieftaincy jointly. The rear got to Raffinkelsted and lived there, but Abjorn took the charge of Abadol, and people thought them both men of metal. And so ends Saga of Raffinkel. Alright guys, so next story is going to be Thorstein and the Staffstruck, and we will read that next Friday. I appreciate y'all being here. Don't leave just yet. I want to raid somebody. Please. Yeah. Okay. Do the staying. Alright. You know what? We are going to go raid Mr. Kyle. Raid call is... a second. Red. I will raid. That is the raid call. Go ahead and give him some love. I will see y'all sometime this weekend. I have a lot of homework to do this evening, so I won't be on after this. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Don't do anything just yet. Wait until I get in there. And, we will do the raid. Thank you guys so much for being here. Good night.